Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. For those of you that have good enough eyes, you can see the dry tears on my cheeks right now. So I've just been watching myself and crying. I don't know why I even give these fucking seminars, because I don't like it. God damn. Somebody in here told me a little while ago that I'm doing it because I said I'm going to do it, even though I don't. Where's that one? Where's the... Oh, you. Yeah. The little fucking Lebanese fucking drug dealer. You're going to do it because you said you're going to do it, even though you don't want to do it. In this, right? Isn't that word more or less? My 30-year career, that 30 years, the 23rd of this month, is because I said I was going to do it 30 years ago. Even though I realized it was a piece of shit when I started. That means coaching you. 30 years. That's why most of you are still married. That old flabby ass you roll over on, or that soft, flaccid, unflaccid dick that you roll over on, depending on what sex you are. That's why you still deal with your toxic mothers. And that's why you're here, because this is the last. The earth is flat. You've seen me do this on YouTube a million times. Remind me that YouTube is only 40% of my material. Remind me, because I'm going to rant and rave about that later. The world is flat. And this is the last fucking town on the abyss before you go over. You've tried every fucking thing known to man, transgender, and Jesus, and it hasn't worked. And that's why you're here. This is we're the last saloon, we're the last drink on the edge of the bar. We have a few of you that have been here before. We have many of you that have started the QLA process wrongfully. We have several of you that have called my mentees that I told you not to call. And you wonder why you don't have a pot to piss in or a fucking window to throw it out of. And why you're fucked. You were born to be fucked. On the paperwork that you filled out, I said, what's the highest performance thing you ever did? Nothing. Or coming here. Which is like nothing. What's the highest performance thing your parents ever did? Nothing. What's the highest performance thing your siblings ever did? Nothing. Your grandparents, nothing. Well, nothing, nothing, and nothing, even in new math, is still nothing. And yet you're here to take an abuse of an old man, although we're charmed today because we have a special guest, which I'll introduce later. Yeah. But he doesn't even look like you. Have you noticed? See the difference between poverty and success? Poorness rubs off, and smiling and chuckling and laughing is a coping mechanism because you have no balls. For those of you that got smirks on your fucking face now. And every time you smile during the week, I'm going to pound on you. And every time you chuckle, I'm going to pound. Stop smiling, you little shithead. You're giving tacit approval to what I'm saying because what I'm saying happens to be the truth. You're all cunts, and that's why you're here. But you don't have to leave here a cunt. That's the operative part of the seminar. And whatever the demeaning comment for a woman is, because cunt, well, I mean, you understand the biology of it. But whatever the opposite of a cunt for a woman, that's what the women are. And I normally say all guys because even though you all look like real gals, we don't have any cross-dressers, so I'll still call you guys. This week, the seminar's changed. And I went back and we'll spend more time on it during the week. And I've looked at some other data. And remember, the first 7 years of the seminar, I didn't keep any records to speak of because I didn't think I'd be doing this past 7 years. I'd be off, doing my jolly someplace like you. But it didn't work out that way. And after 15 or 20 years, Sally said that she didn't think anybody was going to copy me. You do a successful program on the internet, they're copying it in 2-3 days, right? Okay. So we all, I mean, Sally and I and a couple others, thought that we knew actually that some people would copy me, but here I'm going to celebrate my 30th anniversary on the 23rd of this month. We got no copy. We got a few pretends, but they're not really copying the QLA model. And for those of you that did the QLA model, you did it wrong. And you're here because you did it wrong. You went to private equity. You went for a joint venture, and you're not reading my material clearly. Getting a 50% partner is not a joint venture partner. But anyway, we're going to go through this in more detail. So in that regard, we're going to change the seminar because I'm going to be more explicit. And some of you, I've talked to 6 of you so far in the one-on-one time, have said, I know I did it wrong, but I'm here it's like a whore in church. A girl used to fuck the university football team, and now she wants to be a nun. That's what you guys remind me of. Everybody understand that whose primary language is not English? We ought to stop that too, Sally. I mean, they're fucking having retard fucking foreign language. It's so bullshit. And there's always one imbecile in the class. I think I already know who the imbecile is if I'm looking at your paperwork. But we're not going to slow the class down because of that one imbecile. Now, if we have 6, 7, 8 imbeciles, then I've got to shift the slides around because and it's not a matter of being fair to the other group, but I want as many people in the seminar to have the opportunity to use the model. We've already got a bunch of repeats, and we have a repeats, not because I didn't teach it well, it's because they were the imbeciles and I didn't recognize them. I'm not saying every repeat in here is an imbecile, but close to it. Now, I know we have one group of Dutch morons here. I'm going to get around to you Dutch morons. How many people speak Dutch in here? Native language. Oh, good. Okay. I told you not to congregate. I told you not to, this was not a networking program, right? But you did it anyway. Because you're weak. You rather be liked than effective. And you can't be weak with this program. You fail. This young man here, he came with 2 other guys, brothers. We'll call them the Doofus brothers, so we don't embarrass them, the real names. From Arizona. Well, they're morons in Arizona anyway. So, I mean, what else can I say? And 2 of the brothers, one brother, 1 day or 4 days after he left, said, it's not for me. I knew it was not for him the second day he was here. In the 90s, I used to go around and say, you're going to make it, you're going to fail, you're going to make it, you're going to fail, you're going to make it, you're going to fail. The first fucking day, by the end of the first day, which is tomorrow. I was only right about 95% of the time. So I stopped. But now I'm right 99% of the time. So I could you fill out the paperwork, send me the money, and I tell you whether you're going to make it or not. Don't waste your time. That's how simple it is. When our 12-year-old daughter went to the seminar, she's now 36, she said, easy peasy, Daddy. Intellectually, you can give me a test now, I'll get 100%. She was right, but it's not the intellectual part that's the hard part. It's the emotional part because you've had poor role models. You've had poor role models. At best, you maybe had a mom, part-time dad, if one, an older sibling, a grandparent. What the fuck do they know about anything? Nothing. What kind of role model? What kind of benchmarks did they give you? Obviously nothing. Because nothing, and nothing is still fucking nothing. Even with the new math. Of course, that's why you're here. Some of you come from countries where it's like taking candy from a baby, shooting fish in a barrel. It's so easy. Because the ethnicities are fucking idiots. A couple of you are from tough countries where it's not so fucking easy. But I point to Peter Horasty from Hungary, which is about as communistic as you can still get. And he now is the biggest healthcare owner in the motherfucking country. In 5 years. He's about this tall. He weighs 80 pounds. And he wouldn't say shit if it was his fucking mouth. When we see the 12 or 15, depending on how it goes, in addition to listening to our guest star here, I used to say, I don't do anymore, who did you relate to? Roberto, the mouse from Hungary, the Goomba brothers from Cuba, blah, blah, blah. And I still remember where this young lady with the long hair sitting, a woman from the Netherlands, said she related to Steve Jobs. And they say, I don't remember, because they say I leaped over the desks to choke her. Because if there was anybody that's ever come through the seminar, and at that time, 27 years, that was the antithesis of Steve Jobs, it was her. Steve Jobs, in his last breath that he took, or the last shit he took, has got more brains in this whole fucking room. And then I found out, because she's been to the seminar 2-3 times now, she is a senior person with one of the great big investment banks. And you all know why, I've said it 1,000 times, why Bank of America, Deutsche Bank, ING Bank, Barclays Bank doesn't give this kind of information, is because there's no fees associated with it. And when we go through some numbers tomorrow, we're going to compare ourselves to Warren Buffett, who's one of my idols, so to speak. And he talks about his $10,000 of invested in 1962 or 4, whatever it is. It'd be $370 million today. If you reinvest the dividends and reinvest the capital gains, which nobody does, but if you did that, it'd be $370 million. If you did the same thing with QLA, it's 13 with 31 zeros after it. 13 with 31 zeros after it. Comparing apples and apples. I don't know what 31 zeros is. Tonight you're going to have the luxury of listening to our guest and homework. You're going to see a couple of little short films. And the takeaway, what's your takeaway from listening to him and the 2 short videos that I think are 8 and 13 minutes long? What's your takeaway? And every night you're going to have written homework, except graduation night. And tomorrow at noon, I don't have lunch with you. I don't have breakfast with you. And Sally makes me have dinner with you. Because poorness and stupidity rubs off. And even though I only train about 2 to 230, 40 kids a year, you know, it's like the Chinese water torture. It's not the 5th drop on your head, it's the 5 millionth drop. And you guys, you know, have had virtually no positive effect on my life. So you're going to have homework, and if you don't do the homework, don't come to class. And I've heard everything, including the dog ate my homework. And unless somehow our dogs find you, that's impossible. And I judge what I'm going to do the following afternoon and day based on the input of the homework. And more is better. A year from now, one of you, maybe the blondie back there, is going to call Kim because you're a life-death situation. You think it's life-death. I won't. Okay? And then Kim will say, it's so-and-so. And I said, okay, what's in her file? Well, she did all the homeworks, but she was late twice. She did this, she did that. I'm not interested. Tell her to go fuck herself. That's exactly what the answer will be. Some of you will leave a more lasting impression because when I get nauseous when I look at you, that means you've had a lasting impression. Nothing you're going to experience when you leave here will be important to me, except numbers. That means deals. Go fuck yourself, kill yourself, cut your wrists, cut your throat. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Is that right, Sally? Metaphorically speaking. You've got to say that. And if you're going to kill yourself off the estate, please. Too much fucking paperwork if you kill yourself on the estate. 4 or 5 seminars ago, we had a psychotic breakdown. 6 or 7 seminars, we had a guy shit himself. Nobody has shit themselves in years. But we had a guy. He shit himself from where you're sitting in the back corner to the toilet, to his cabin. So I'm back on fire again. I know when people piss themselves and shit themselves and pass out and have psychotic breaks, I'm at the top of my game. I'm at the top of my game. I prefer not suicide. And I'm going to show you, metaphorically, if you're going to cut your wrist, I'll show you how to do it the right way instead of the half-ass way. This, you're not going to kill anybody, let alone yourself. We have active duty military in audience, which I thank you for your service. We have one person in the seminar that has the same regret that I do. One of the same regrets that I do. And you may have gone to school or someplace where they say there are no stupid questions. That's a lie. If you've gone through the material, I told you to look at the billions in succession. I told you to look at my Dan Does the Extreme. And I'll question you, and I'll know within 3 questions whether you did it or not. And then that goes in my black book. Well, I wouldn't piss on his face if it were in fire, which is the worst end of the book. And I'm told, in full disclosure, I knew President Trump when he wasn't a president. He has a black book that went from this big to this big. It's called Revenge. And we'll see if he becomes president. But for those of you that looked at the polls, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, after he got convicted here recently, he went up in the polls. How is that possible? How is that fucking possible? And he's making it a positive because he didn't get convicted of rape. If you were in that courtroom, you would have got convicted of rape. Most people, other than myself, would have gotten convicted of rape. And that's why one of the most important persons on your dream team board is your lawyer. And the extension, the law firm that you use. Any questions? Good. Duncan, hit it.